When GCI was first created and as it evolved in that early years, it was probably one of the most important resources for building the capacity of community development in Chicago.
And it was this idea that if you have public universities, that they ought to have some of their research be public informed, and they should try to utilize that to improve quality of life in cities.
Being able to have that sort of platform where credible research can be elevated and promoted into the conversation is really, really a crucial aspect of GCI's contribution to the policy discussion.
The Great Cities Institute was really a national leader in this work. It won awards, it created a model that was studied across the campus and nationally. And the projects and programs and research that came out of that really spanned across issue areas: community well-being, economic development, climate change and resilience. We use research and community engagement to really think about how can we make cities great.
This is one of the things that the visionaries behind Great Cities had in mind, is how we at the university can be of service to people in the city, in this region, and beyond. We are meant to be of service to the public.
The power of being able to bring a group of people together in the same room who are working on the same problem in the same community can never be underestimated. GCI has hosted many events over its 30 years that have been really important to the city. When GCI was created, only a few universities had centers like this, and GCI was able to establish something that really worked for Chicago, worked for UIC, brought the strengths of the college into community, and did so in a way that built ongoing partnerships and relationships. The Neighborhoods Initiative program, which has been around since the beginning, was really crucial in establishing that.
The most important thing that we do in shaping our work is engage in partnerships. What comes out of the conversations with our partners is what shapes the research design itself, so that what we do is a reflection of what people need. So working with government, working with foundations, working with various nonprofit groups, working with various civic organizations, business groups. These are all the array of partnerships that we have.
Great Cities Institute has been a tremendous partner. I first started working with GCI actually about 6 years ago when I led the census for the state of Illinois. As my career has progressed, right, so has my relationship with Great Cities Institute. And I really do believe that they have created a new platform of what public policy ought to be. Through the Latino Caucus Foundation, our mission is to foster the next generation of Latino leadership while advocating for the needs and wants of the community. A couple of years ago, we transformed a public policy conference, turned it around so that instead of the experts talking to people, people became the experts talking to us. Great Cities Institute helped us in that entire process, and not only in being able to turn the tables around, but be able to document every single word that is being said throughout that conference, allowing us to be able to build a comprehensive source, if you will, that now we can really, with complete conviction, say, this is what people said they want and needed. What Great Cities Institute is able to do is to collect real-life stories, transform it into data that ultimately becomes public policy for the state of Illinois.
In my time at GCI, there's a number of stories that really speak to me about the work that we do. And in particular, back in 2008, when there was flooding along the Mississippi River, we went with our partner at the time, which was University of Illinois at Extension, and we toured the cities that had been flooded. People were really looking at how do they start to rebuild after a disaster like this. We had a project at the time called Illinois Resource Net, and so what we did with our partners was work with counties on the ground to help them develop those plans so that families and communities could really begin to access those resources and rebuild. And I think about that because the impact was huge, right? You had these communities whose lives had just been really destroyed, and they were able to access this money as a result of the technical assistance that we were able to provide in that moment.
One powerful project that we've been involved with for a number of years in partnership with the Alternative Schools Network is to produce data on youth employment and policy recommendations. There was a historic homicide spikes in 2016 that were really unprecedented, and there was a lot of public discussion about policing solutions and less so other types of anti-violence interventions, and no one was talking about employment and jobs. So we came in and we produced data that linked things like jobless rates and homicide rates and said these things are connected, and if you want a more wholesome, encompassing solution, you shouldn't just look at enforcement solutions, although those may be very important, but there's sort of more to the story. So to try to influence the public discourse by utilizing our research and the way the discussion was going, that we wouldn't have otherwise had those programs funded at their elevated levels if it wasn't for the work that GCI had done.
This is an event to herald the legislation that Senator Dick Durbin and Congresswoman Kelly have put in, desperately providing jobs in the summer and year-round for youth.
Our role as researchers to frame the data and the research in ways that were supplementing the voices of young people who are going through the conditions themselves. And as a university, oftentimes I think a lot of academic research doesn't get into the hands of people that could use it. So to be able to take the research and translate it into ways that it can be useful, I think is really rewarding.
In addition to our local and regional partners, we have international partners. We've had partnerships, for example, with the Consulate General of France in Chicago, an ongoing project with them called Cité Cité, which began in 2015, which is a transatlantic exchange. That has been a very successful project. We have worked with the government of Ecuador. We've hosted delegations. We might host somebody for a day. We might host them for a year.
All of these projects speak to me about the work that GCI does when we work directly with partners and community members to think about what are the needs on the ground and how do we begin to apply research, apply community engagement, and think about how do we begin to solve those needs. And the impact there is incredible.
That kind of institutional and community knowledge is not built overnight.
One of the things that I'm most proud of is the quality team that we have at Great Cities. To me, the most important thing is to create an environment where people are motivated to do the work, to instill in people that sense of the higher purpose, that we're not just doing this for ourselves, there's a reason beyond ourselves that we do this work. And so we're always looking for how can what we do be of value to the people that we're working with, to our partners, and to the city, to the region. There's countless times in a week when I will say, and that's why we're a team.
The things that keep me staying at GCI for 17 years, I mean, this work speaks to my heart. So that in and of itself would be enough for me to stay. But in addition to that, that approach to people and relationships and being engaged isn't just an approach that we take with how we do our work externally. It's how we interact with each other. Taking the time to just recognize that we're all human beings in this world, and sometimes you need a hug. You don't find a lot of places like that to work. So that human, people-centered approach permeates all of what we do. The work is hard, but both the impact of it and the way that we work together makes it all worth it.
There are so many people who've come through GCI who've gone on to do incredible things and incredible work. It's very rewarding to be able to make contributions. It's very rewarding to build the capacity of other people to make their contributions. It's rewarding to watch people develop over time as they come into their own power and their own strength.
It's a very much a full circle moment for many reasons, but as a former employee for Great Cities Institute,
Representative Norma Hernandez is one of the great examples of someone who came through GCI first as a student and then as a staff member. She, along with many others, really point to the importance of mentorship and capacity building that is one of the hallmarks of the Great Cities Institute.
There's a great network of GCI alumni that exist out in the world at very prominent roles and institutions throughout Chicago, and we know that we'll keep training the next generation around the cutting edge of research methodologies and practice.
I think GCI's impact moving into the future is based on its history and tradition of being able to adapt to changing conditions. We're in a very uncertain political climate right now. I think it's difficult to project what the future is going to hold, but what I do know about GCI is that interdisciplinarity, that ability to see the big picture, but identify how to help in key areas, that's going to help it carry through. This is a really crucial time for public institutions in our country. I think we're facing a period where the value of our public institutions is being challenged. And so I think it's going to be crucial that centers like GCI evolve in that way. And so if history is any indicator, I think GCI is well positioned for that future.
One thing that GCI has always been good at is being tapped into what the current issues are and what the most pressing issues in Chicago and Chicagoland are. We've also proven that we can sort of rise to the challenge when these different problems come, large or small, and GCI has a really important role to play in what the future of Chicago is, and I hope that we can have another 30 years with the same mission and continue to take on the biggest challenges that the city confronts us with.
I think GCI's impact moving forward will be a continuation of this unique approach of centering people and relationships in the work that we do moving forward. By using the power of research coupled with real stories and voices, you're able to move things, and GCI has.
As Chicagoan communities, I feel all of us are feeling more and more empowered to really claim our neighborhoods as our neighborhoods, right? And as places that we care about, places that we want to see prosper, right? And I think that that is something that Great Cities Institute has done for us all, right? It has allowed us all to really feel like Chicago history is my history as well. There's something new that is brewing, if you will, that Great Cities Institute is able to do, and is allowing people to have more power in their voice.
What feels successful to me on a very personal level is that I have been able to continue and build upon the vision that was behind those who created Great Cities Institute 30 years ago. I'm big on legacy, and I love that we have been able to honor that legacy at a time when information is being so distorted and science is being devalued and research is being defunded. It becomes even more important for us to be an entity that is providing that rigorous data analysis that can inform not only policy decisions, conversations that we have about how the world functions, and ways in which that we can really continue to bring the resources of the university to building communities. We have done great work over the past 30 years, and in some ways, I feel like we've just begun.